So welcome back to Favorite Friday. For the last case for this week, we are going to Hungary. This is actually the first Hungary case I've ever covered. It may or may not be the last, because this one was very intense, and I'm surprised as intense as it was, and as young as our killer was, it's not more talked about. If that makes sense. And so with that being said, if you are aware of this case, because I definitely wasn't until like the first source, so shout out to them. Definitely let me know down below. And so with that being said, I'm quit my rambling. Give what little public know about this particular killer. And let's go get started. So, obviously with this being a foreign case, there are going to be foreign names. So I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of the names. I already know I'm going to get our killer's name off the bat, and I really don't care considering how graphic the things she did to our victims were. So I'm just going to say her name. If I get it wrong, it is what it is. Okay. So Piroska, that's how I'm pronouncing it. I'm going to put it on the screen so you see how it's spelled. She was born January 15th, 1934. Her mother, Borbala, that's not really exactly easy either. Her mother, Borbala, had apparently would make her drop out when she's in the 5th grade, and she starts prostituting in order to get income in the house, because apparently she was not making enough by herself. And I guess she figured her 5th grade daughter was of age to start selling her body. So then apparently the clients that she could get, they were paying her in bread or beef fat, and rarely cash. Okay, this food was more valuable than cash at them time, because they were just that poor. So then apparently, she would get bullied for being a prostitute, because all her classmates are saying, her classmates, even though she's no longer in school, the people that she was in school with, they're seeing her be a prostitute. They're making fun of her. And apparently she's over sleeping with some of them, and apparently would even give some of them STDs, obviously from prostitution, because they're not wearing protection. And obviously some of your clients are going to have STDs. So then apparently when she was not out prostituting, which they were calling it working, but she was out prostituting, sadly. Apparently she would be out drunk in the streets or stealing. I guess stealing for food, ways to survive. And I assume that the drunking was a coping mechanism due to having to prostitute at such a young age. So then her mother, Borbala, how you pronounce her name, she apparently would come back one day and find Piroska, and apparently her then 7-year-old brother, apparently she was making her then 7-year-old brother give her oral sex. And there was another time where apparently Piroska would apparently claim that 2 cats had apparently scratched her. So she apparently ties them together with twine, makes them have sex, and I guess once she was satisfied with that, she then apparently kills and dissects them. So on June 13th, 1954, she meets a 13-year-old girl with the same name as her. So I'm going to refer to the 13-year-old girl by her last name, since they have literally the exact same name, exact same spelling, all that. Okay. This may have been a somewhat common name back in Hungary in the 1930s when she was born. I don't know. But they both had the same first name. So we're going to refer to this 13-year-old girl as Hoppel, because that was her last name. So Piroska, she's at a market. There's a 13-year-old girl named Hoppel, right? And this 13-year-old girl apparently selling chickens. Piroska apparently says to this 13-year-old girl, I have some chickens, do you want to buy them? So she somehow gets this girl to leave the market to go with her at these chickens. And as far as what I can read, she's not at chickens at all, but you got to lure your victim out somehow, right? So she goes back to the house. She says, hey, wait here in the house, have a seat while I go get the chickens. So then while apparently this 13-year-old girl's not looking, she then apparently goes behind her and strangles her with an electrical cord. The girl is then, of course, then dead. And then apparently Piroska, our killer, would then get on top of this 13-year-old girl, Hoppel's body, and then apparently have oral sex with her until Piroska, our killer, has an orgasm. So then on June 15th, 15-year-old Marika Katarami apparently was instructed to go to the supermarket before you can go hang out with friends. Right? So, you gotta get, make sure you bring back the food, and I assume you can go hang out with friends after, as teenage girls want to do. So then, of course, Piroska, our killer, she then, of course, sees this girl, says to her, hey, I have some potatoes, because I guess Marika was getting potatoes for the house. And she's like, hey, I got potatoes at my house, you can get for free. So then, of course, I guess her being a teenage girl, the money that I would have saved by not buying potatoes, I guess she would have pocketed and probably spent it somewhere, as any one of us would probably. And so then, unfortunately, she wants to go to Piroska's house. Same thing, sit down while we get the potatoes. And then comes behind her, strangles her with an electrical wire. And then same thing with the first victim. Pleasure yourself with this person's deceased body until she orgasms. But for this victim, we then put a carrot and a broomstick of her vagina. And then any money that was on her, because like I said, she was going to the market, so obviously she's going to need some money that I assume her parents had gave her. You then steal that money off of Marika's now deceased body. And so now understandably, you now have to dispose of this body. So then apparently she covers her body with a blanket, and the same electrical cord she used to kill her, we use that cord to drag her body, so that way you don't have to put your hands on her, even though DNA testing is not really a thing yet, because mind you, this is the 1950s we're talking about here. And I don't know how advanced they were over there in Hungary at the time. So then after that, she then throws her body with a blanket and everything in the well. I guess she just casually had a well nearby. And so obviously, Marika's parents obviously called the police after she knocked them home because I guess that that wasn't like her, and they luckily acted quick, but unfortunately she was already deceased. But of course, the parents obviously never know their child's deceased, right? And so apparently, Russian police, even though this takes place in Hungary, they did not want to get involved because they had Russian soldiers residing over in Hungary. So even though this happened in the 1950s, and obviously World War I is over, there was a point where Russia had apparently invaded Hungary, and there were Russian citizens that lived in Hungary, and they did not, I guess, did not want to cause beef with those citizens out of fear that one of our people may die. So then months later, apparently she would run into a lover from Budapest, apparently a woman by the name of Eddine, Eddine. Okay. And like I said, 1950s, it's illegal to be gay. She doesn't want to be found out because apparently you could be prosecuted, just like you could over in the U.S. And so she apparently kills Eddine. Doesn't specify how. She just killed her. Doesn't give a date on when she killed her. Just killed her. And just when she's about to commit necrophilia, like she's been doing all the other victims, on Eddine, apparently she knows the signs of STD. Doesn't show what signs, but apparently there are signs in the lower region or vagina area that show signs of STD. And I guess she's like, no, I don't want that. Understandably. And it's bad when you can visibly see the signs, right? So she just proceeds to throw her body in the well. So in 3 days, apparently after killing Eddine, apparently she would see a 13-year-old girl by the name of Kataka at a train station. She lures her to the house, doesn't specify how, she just lures her to the house, and then obviously kills her and mutilates her body. And so the locals, apparently for some weird reason, actually start blaming the Jews for all these murders that are going on. Because apparently they're saying, oh, y'all using the blood from the victims to rebuild the synagogue. Because mind you, like I said, 1950s, World War II was not that long ago for them. So that was their theory. You got to rebuild the Jewish population because we lost a lot of Jewish people to the Holocaust. That was their theory. Obviously, they were way off, but they were like, hey, we're picking at whatever straws we can at this point because we don't know who the killer is. And so apparently, Piroska would apparently lure a woman by the name of Esteban. Just put the name on screen because I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Esteban apparently back to the house. Apparently, she falls asleep. So then apparently, Piroska decides, well, she's asleep. She can't defend herself. So now's a good time to strangle her, to kill her, like we've been doing so far. She luckily wakes up when she realizes she's being strangled. She's able to get away, get to police. Police come to the house. They apparently see the bodies in the well, and Piroska is apparently charged with 5 different murders. So, Borbala, the mother, she apparently was sentenced to 2 years for prostitution. I don't know if that was prostituting her underage daughter or prostituting herself, because obviously prostitution in most places is a crime, so it didn't specify what exactly they charged for. And apparently her civil rights were stripped away. So Piroska actually would try to claim that she actually had accomplices, like people that helped dispose of the bodies and all this, because do you really got to do all this by myself? So then, of course, police, they have to take these claims seriously. So they go and investigate, like any police department would, and they find out very quickly the people that she pointed out, people that said, oh, those are my accomplices, they realized very quickly there's no way they could have been the accomplices. Now, it didn't specify like how or whether they were disabled, they were too old, they had alibis where they were at those days, but it just said there's no way those people could have been involved. So she actually winds up being executed, and this is like December 11th, 1954, I think. So they were really quick with this execution. And then the mother, Borbala, apparently she gets sentenced to life for some weird reason. However, she wound up getting transferred to a apparently hospital, like it's like a mental institution hospital. And then eventually, obviously, she winds up dying because there's no way she's still alive, and this happened in 1950s. And so, yeah, with that being said, that is the case of a Hungarian serial killer. If you're from Hungary and you know this case, let me know. Why is this case not more talked about? Probably because of how graphic it is, and YouTube definitely would not allow it. I can already see this video getting taken down because of how graphic it was, and I try to keep PG-13. So with that being said, if you have any other female killers, I guess, from Hungary, definitely let me know, because that was definitely interesting to cover a new country on the map, I guess. And so with that being said, I cover fair females 2 times a week. Discover more fair females, and see you guys next one. Bye.